Hello and welcome to Times Aerospace TV's Defence Monthly that comes to you not from our normal studio, but this time from the Abu Dhabi Exhibition Centre, where we're getting to the IDEX show. It's a huge event despite the COVID. It's really great to be back. I'm joined in the studio here by Jay Menon, our defence correspondent. Jay, great to see you at a real show again. You covered India, Aero India, just 10 days or so ago. Bit of a difference, eh?
It's right. It's good to be back in business, not just for journalists like us, but for the industry as well. You know, it's great to be back in business after a long 1 year. 1 year went like, we don't know how we get the news of cancellations of each and every show. And finally, we are back in business. It's good to be good.
Now, this, of course, is a completely physical show.
That's
you know,
right.
There's nothing much happening virtually apart from my flying mask. But what's it been about? What's the highlights? As you as a defence correspondent, you know this better than I do. What's been your big points?
I think the main focus for the aerospace industry here was on UAVs and missiles, especially for the local companies. The investments they made for UAV, I think it has made good results with, you know, the launch of the homemade QX range families of UAVs and several other UAVs and rotary UAVs like the Garmusha. So it's a great thing, you know, to see the local companies coming up with their own UAVs, because they were always dependent on either China or the US. So now they're making homemade UAVs, which is a great thing.
Well, of course, we saw the launch of the QX family coming from Edge, the UAE's defence major contractor and conglomerate. Really, there's so many businesses from it. Let's have a quick look at that.
So here you're looking at a family of new loitering munitions produced by Adasi, which is part of the Edge group under the platforms and systems cluster. And we have a family of 4 new drones, the QX family, QX1 through to 4, and basically being in different sizes and categories in terms of payload, in terms of endurance, and in terms of range. So I think what we've seen in the market space over the years is developments in these kamikaze drones with the idea that these are munitions that can loiter over the battle space. When they detect a target, you can deploy these, diving the drone onto the target, which of course means that the drone is destroyed in the process. The concept behind these, excluding the micro, is that these drones are reusable, carrying a payload to the area of operation, being able to loiter over, deploying a payload, and then being able to return to base to be reloaded and reused.
So, of course, we were expecting history to be made in a big way at IDEX this year, with the participation of Israel for the first time. You'll remember at the end of 2020, Israel and the United Arab Emirates, along with Bahrain, have signed the Abraham Accord, which brings the nations closer together for trade, for culture, and for other things. And we still saw some Israelis here. They couldn't get here en masse though, Jay, could they? What happened?
The Israelis who managed to attend the show were not basically from their country. It was either from Spain or from who had gone to attend the the aero show in India. They managed to reach Abu Dhabi, and they feel very disappointed that, you know, their country couldn't do that to help at least attend this major show, and that too first time in Abu Dhabi. So even not only the organizers, but even the Israeli company people were very disappointed at this fact.
You met the envoy for Israel who was
yes,
here.
Yes, that's
he
right.
Was
I think
very keen.
The charge d'affaires, Mr. Ethanai, he was representing the entire country here, and he was seen jumping or emerging from one meeting to another, you know, discussing the opportunities which Israel can offer in the defense sector in this region. Yeah, he was a busy man.
We want to build a model of good relationships between Israel and a like-minded Arab country, a country which just signed a historical peace accord, the Abrahamic Accord, calling for the sons of Abraham to live together. And to live together doesn't mean always to agree about everything, but it means to cooperate and to make life better for ourselves and for our children. And that's what we are set to do. There is a vision, there is a will, and there is a way. It's a process. It doesn't happen in a day, but it's a process. We want to start it. Unfortunately, COVID makes it a bit more difficult. It does make it difficult for people to move from one country to another. Otherwise, things would have, I think, happened way faster, which they are already pretty fast.
And we met another exhibitor here who had actually flown in from New York, but has businesses in Tel Aviv, and has now brought the United Arab Emirates into that. Interesting technology.
And we're very excited and proud to be here and representing Israeli technology. It's historical, and we hope that we will be able to develop strong partnerships and allow the world to be a better place.
So one of the big issues that's been going on since this last month has been whether or not the US and the UK, Italy and others will be selling defence equipment to the Middle East in the future. And of course, with the new administration, there have been other issues. We've talked before about the F-35 being under review for the sale to the United Arab Emirates. So how worried are American contractors about this, particularly when they've been there for a long time? So I went and asked Boeing what their view was.
We've made it a priority for our company to be able to set up organizations that can be local business. So we have Boeing Saudi Arabia, which has worked as a local Saudi company. We set up organizations and relationships with a number of the industries there to be able to use, again, Boeing expertise and processes and procedures and tooling and how we do things to be successful, to work with that local company so they can eventually be able to do the work on their own with just some reach back into Boeing. So we're very proud of the success we've had over the years. We actually have a dedicated team, our industrial participation team, to be able to set up to look for what are those companies in the region that have capabilities that we can work with and be able to share and train and do that work with. So that is very important for us, not only in Saudi Arabia, but here in the UAE, Qatar, all the locations of the area here. So we've been that's very much a priority for us.
Sorry, Mark, I want to take up on one other point that I know is causing a bit of concern for people here, is the kind of suggestion that the US, UK, Italy, for example, may stop arms business with this part of the world. How serious is that, and where do you see the relationship going in the future?
We've been in this region for 75 plus years. We've got very strong ties with our defense platforms that are here that need to be able to continue to support that. Obviously, as administrations change, there's a little hesitations here and there for what that's going to mean. But our experience, again, over 75 years, as those new administrations come in, we're able to work through that. We're able to continue to do work with these countries. Even President Biden himself made the comment that we're going to continue to work. That doesn't mean we're not going to be able to support the platforms and experiences that are already in the region to be able to do that for the defense of those local nations.
So it's nice to see that optimism, and it was important to hear from the other side as well. So I was able to talk to the CEO of Edge, that conglomerate really that runs the United Arab Emirates defense industries, and I asked him about relationships with the West.
I like to focus my energy and time and comment on what I can control. I can't control what countries decide or politicians decide or whoever decides. What we focus our energy on is what we control. And what we control is capabilities we are building, capabilities we are investing in, and partners that are working with us to further accelerate these capabilities. And many of the things you see here are things that we've accelerated ourselves with willing partners wherever relevant in that regard. And frankly, that is where we're spending our time and energy in this regard. Then everything else is a distraction.
So Jay, we talked about Edge and what they're doing now, but I think you were particularly interested in some of the missiles that are coming out from there.
That's right, yeah.
Because I saw Hassan also, of course, had new versions of Desert Sting as well as the Thunder.
Yeah,
so they're really producing some
and now,
great stuff.
Another thing, they have also entered into tie-up with MBDA, a local company called Tawazun, and they have signed an agreement to develop smart glider weapon systems as well. contractors.
So we'll see a lot more from Edge. And of course the major country that the world looks at in this part of the world for buying defence is going to be having 50% produced in its own borders. That of course is Saudi Arabia. I was able to have an interview with the head of GAMI, who effectively are the regulator for the Saudi defence industry.
I think we are at the early stage or steps at the moment of moving toward our targets in 2030 by localizing 50% of our spending. I think we have completed now all the, I would say, the infrastructure that will enable GAMI and the local industry, be it regulations or industrial licensing or an industrial participation program, incentives. That is all now in place. And since GAMI was established, we have doubled the localization. It was 4%, now we are about 8%, and we have a target to keep on an annual basis, shifting or raising our localization. As of today, we have issued 114 industrial license and service license to about 70 companies who are Saudis, as well as foreign companies that who are willing or interested to invest in Saudi Arabia. When it comes to R&D, research goes along hand in hand with industry. You cannot have a sustainable industry without a research and technology and development that is backing it up.
Can I just ask you about the World Defence Show as a showcase, if you like, for the industry, the technology and the aspirations of Saudi Arabia and indeed the Gulf states?
Definitely, and I hope to see you in March next year in Riyadh for our first edition of the WDS. As you said, it's going to be a showcase. It's going to be state of the art in Saudi Arabia. We have all the support from the sources that we have in Kingdom to make it a true showcase, to make it a true successful. I think it will bring all the forces together, air, land, and navy, and cyber and security, to demonstrate not only the size of investment opportunities in Saudi Arabia, but also to demonstrate the local supply chain that will be supporting these investments. So we definitely are very confident that's going to be a success.
So that show sounds really exciting, doesn't it? I wanted to find out a little bit more about it. So I went to find Sean Ormerod, who's the CEO of the World Defence Show. He knows a bit about it, and I'm sure he's getting concerned. It's only 1 year to go, and that's not very long in show business.
Not when it comes to events like this. 365 days, the 6th of March, so we've got just over that to go now. And my focus now very much is on moving forward the venue, the location, and actually delivering it on the floor. So it's north of Riyadh, it's about 70 kilometres north of Riyadh. And the location we chose for two particular reasons. The first one, well no, actually there's three. The first one is from a highways point of view. The area is on an intersect between two major highways. That is absolutely fantastic for us because it means we've got options around entrance and exits for VIPs and for deliveries and for security, which is always very tight in Saudi. So that was the first one. The second one is it's 28 square kilometres of space. And of course, what comes with events like this is airfields and airstrips, so you need a lot of space. But also we're hoping to do a lot of land demonstrations, and I don't mean driving around a car park, I mean literally being able to drive out into the desert and really show what some of these assets can do to the customers. So between the air assets and the airfield and the airstrip and the land demo area, we can put on a really tangible live experience for our customers. So those are the two, and then of course the third one is ultimately that we're looking to develop this show, and we've got a remit from the Crown Prince to make this one of the best three defence shows on the globe, and clearly we're at one of the others at the moment. And that opportunity means that we need to be able to expand and expand quickly. The Crown Prince's ambitions, the 2030 vision, is very much about a kaleidoscope of international participation. And the Saudis, and Saudi itself has been opening up incredibly over the last few years. And there's very much an international focus on this, so we absolutely expect and will be inviting the broadest audience we possibly can to the event to be able to experience it. And you know, there's a good reason why we called it the World Defence Show.
So Jay, thanks for joining us in the chair. It's great to see you there and not just on a monitor from New Delhi.
I know. It was my pleasure, in fact, you know, after a long time to be.
It's great.
And
you've got a flight to catch to get back, and of course we've got to get back. So the next time we'll see you next month, we'll have probably just finished our quarantine. Keep your stories coming into us. Keep the issues coming up, what you want us to talk about. We'll see you again next month. Thanks for watching.